Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This time I'm just going to be giving my reviews and thoughts on the movie Terminator Salvation. I've been recently watching a lot of movies and franchises that you guys have been recommending me, which I am absolutely grateful for, because if it weren't for you all, I wouldn't have seen movies like Little Shop of Horrors or what's that movie called? Attack of the Mushroom People. Movies that I don't think I would have watched on my own, but because I like to have an open mind and I'm open to new things, new film, new media, I ended up liking them. So I thank you guys for that, and I've been enjoying talking to you guys about films that I've reviewed and that you guys have gave me for recommendations, not only on Terminator but Aliens, just film in general. And so I really take what you guys have to say. I learn something new, and that's one of the coolest things about being a content creator is kind of learning what people like watching from themselves as consumers of content. But so last video I made was basically about Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines and my thoughts on that film. The third film in the franchise. So this one, there is a pinball table, but I just wanted to kind of give my reviews and focus on some of the things that I enjoyed in Salvation. So Salvation came out in the year 2009, and it was directed from someone else. So the first two movies were directed by James Cameron. The third one was from a different director, and so the fourth, fifth, and sixth were all different directors. That being said, I think they all did a pretty good job of kind of keeping to the same theme. I think Salvation, didn't stray too far, but it's kept the same, theme of man versus machine. So as I'm getting further into this franchise, I'm becoming more interested. I'm wanting to know the story more because it's expanding. So as I was watching this film, I was wondering, who is Marcus? Who is this prisoner? What is going on here? Why is Helena Bonham Carter in this movie? Which I love. She's pretty actress. I've seen her in a lot of Tim Burton, but I did not expect to see her, which was cool. But for me, the main thing as I was watching was focused on the cyborg Marcus Wright, who we see at the beginning of the movie. And apparently, I did a little research. He is a prisoner that has, given up his body for research, and so to Cyberdyne Systems. I'm looking at the Terminator Wiki because I don't want to say anything that's not true. But let me read it to you guys here, because I think he's a very important character, and I think he's the main character for me in Salvation. So he was born in 1975 and was a human on death row in 2003, convicted for multiple homicide, and was executed shortly after signing his physical remains over to Dr. Kogan of Cyberdyne Systems, played by Helena Bonham Carter, Genetic Research Division. He was then entered into Project Angel and converted into a hybrid human alongside Thomas Parnell, which was later activated in the war-torn future. So let's see here. In Salvation, I'm just reading the part in Salvation. Wow, okay, so there's a lot going here. But let me read the history of his early life. Maybe I can understand something. So this is all from the fandom. Marcus led a disreputable life of petty crime alongside his brother Sam, who was accidentally killed during a botched carjacking, which also saw the deaths of two cops. Marcus was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to death at Longview State Correctional Facility. So that's where Salvation opens up. During his time on death row, Marcus was visited repeatedly by Dr. Kogan, a cancer-stricken scientist. Okay, that explains why. Okay, she was bald, who wished for him to sign over his body to her research project. He refused her request up until the day of his execution, upon which she agreed to sign it over in exchange for a final kiss. So that's where Salvation opens up, and that's where I had some of my questions. So it says here, Marcus was then strapped onto a cross-like table and shown for his weeping friends and relatives before being executed by lethal injection. It is ambiguous as to whether the injection actually killed him or simply placed him in a coma for Serena's project. Marcus's body was taken apart and converted into a unique cyborg, one that still retained his human brain and heart. He was then stored in an underground facility where he would remain in stasis for 15 years as Judgment Day occurred in the world above. So this is where Salvation is taking place. Skynet would later discover his body and add further enhancement to his design, completing the seemingly abandoned work of Cyberdyne research. So he was a cyborg, and basically he was used by Cyberdyne and Dr. Kogan to infiltrate as an infiltration unit to kind of get to find John Connor, to lead Skynet to John Connor and Kyle Reese, so that they could eventually, kill John Connor. That was the whole mission of Skynet, is to kill John Connor. So they used Marcus Wright, the cyborg, to do their bidding, if you will. So I found his role really interesting in this movie. This movie was great. It had good action. It had good morals. It really kind of beat down on the whole man versus machine. What makes a human, and what differentiates man from machine. And so one of the key points that I got was the scene in the movie where Marcus the cyborg and Blair, a resistance fighter, are out in the barren land, heading to John Connor's base. And so in the scene, she takes off her shirt, and you see her bosom, and there's a little bit of nudity there. And so that part of the movie is where it clicked to me. It was one of the first times it kind of made you see this is the difference between man and machine. Machines don't have desire like humans do. And so Marcus the cyborg, which is a cyborg, is basically half human, half machine, is looking at her in that kind of way, like he has desire. So that extends a lot throughout the film. After that, you see the really, what separates man from machine. But I thought to myself, I said, these machines, these Skynet, were coded by man and their programs, right? But are we as humans just as capable of doing bad things? I mean, we think about it. DNA is coded. It's genetically coded into our systems. Are we also machines at the end of the day? Or are we cyborgs potentially? We can think, we have reasoning, but we also have this, this kind of programming, way of functioning. And you also saw that when basically the Resistance Command wanted to blow up Skynet, when they found out where Skynet's base was located, but John Connor, was basically saying, no, don't blow up Skynet because there's resistance fighters held as prisoners there. So that's another example of, the commander was like, no, we just have to hit Skynet now, screw the prisoners. But, John Connor, was saying, no, I don't want to do that. There's resistance fighters. Kyle Reese, his father's in there. So, there's another example of, here are two humans, two resistance fighters. They want the same outcome. They want to destroy Skynet, but one wants to go about it in a mechanical way. And then John Connor, he has, heart. He wants to save the prisoners if he can. So you're seeing that kind of theme play throughout the movie, back and forth, which I liked about it. I cried during some of the scenes. Some of the scenes were very powerful for me because it makes me think. It makes me think about, and I think that's one of the most powerful things about this franchise, the Terminator franchise. It's not only about what's going on in the movies itself themselves, but it makes you think about, what makes you a human in the world. Do you have a heart? Do you have, are you just acting like a machine would? You may look and breathe like a human, but have we lost our human qualities that make us human? And of like having a heart, having a caring for other humans, whereas machines, Skynet doesn't even, is kind of, there's none of that. But on top of that, because Skynet is becoming self-aware, maybe Skynet, there has to be, if Skynet can become self-aware, is there a point where Skynet also, the notion that can, machines have feelings? Can these autonomous, machines, can they also have feelings? And that has been something that we've been discussing too. Research, like one day can computers become sentient? Can they have feelings? One other thing I want to say that I liked was there's a scene in Salvation where the hunter killers and are basically are going throughout the barren wasteland in California, Los Angeles, to find the resistance, and so they send out like these two I don't know what to call them, but like these robots, Skynet robots on motorcycles that are just programmed to find resistance fighters. And it made me think, like, in the future, could that be a reality where the police department or the fire department are all composed of like robots? Because why waste a human life working in a police department if you can have a robot do the same thing or even better? So it made me think, like, could that be the future someday? Like these robotic cops coming after humans for doing bad things, like instead of calling an actual human operator, you have a robot cop coming, so it just made my mind kind of think about so many things. I don't want to make this video too long, but I really enjoyed talking to you guys about this franchise, and I'm going to be watching the rest soon and doing also more reviews on those videos. I have to watch Genesis next, and then Dark Fate, and then that will be the end of the series, the franchise. I will at some point review Terminator 2 because I just want to watch it again, fill in some gaps. I think there's some things that I want to, because I think that was a lot about Cyberdyne systems. So let me know what you guys thought about the movie Salvation in particular, or the franchise in general. So I'm going to be doing the two movies next. I don't know when, but I thought today I had the time to watch this movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Like I said, there were some scenes that I cried. I think I even cried in Terminator 2. And I think that's another thing. Voila, here it is that there's the emotion, that makes that you're human, that you have that emotion. Like, you're watching this movie and the theme is man versus machine, and here I am, my emotion is showing as I watch, right? And then there's also this, where you see the Terminator's likeness, Arnold's likeness. And so there's the machine part where the CG and computer graphic, right, is on display. And then so it's like there's a lot of stories within the stories, and it's awesome. That's why I love Terminator, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the other two have to offer. But definitely I enjoyed this one. As I'm watching more and more, they're getting more intense, and I'm liking them more because I'm understanding more, and I'm discovering and unpacking more as I watch them. But for me, I think the greatest thing about this Salvation was the story behind Marcus Wright, the cyborg. And highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, definitely give it a watch. Christian Bale's in it. So until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Thanks for listening.